But we know taxes go up, markets crash, Social Security. We don't know the future of that. There's a lot of things that are out of your control when it comes to retirement planning. But what is within your control? That's what we want to focus on today. 4 things that you can control in retirement. Welcome in. This is Perfect Game Retirement. Great to have you on the channel. Once again, I'm Ben George with Ryan Letton at Black Oak Asset Management. He is a certified financial planner, and he is the founder of Black Oak. And again, great topic today, Ryan, because there's so much that's out of our control, but it's human nature to worry about those things the most, right? I mean, there's so much happening right now, especially here in 2025.
Yeah, I think it's more of a cliche saying now, but I think probably Nick Saban kind of brought it to light the most because maybe he's the most well-known coach around, other than maybe him and Bill Belichick. But control what you can control. It's obviously 100% true, but we are humans and we are still going to worry about the things that we cannot control. But these things that we'll get into today, these things that you can control, and because there is a lot of unknowns, like you just mentioned. What are taxes going to be? What's the future of Social Security? What's inflation rates going to be? Rates of return? How much money I'm going to need? There's a lot of unknowns and what if. So yeah, we factor those in and use that in a retirement plan. But then, okay, what can we do to maybe alleviate or offset or maybe put those kind of behind us on things that we can control?
Yeah, you can factor those into planning, but there's no use stressing over those things that are out of your control. And so these 4 things we're talking about today are actually things that can move the needle in retirement. So let's talk about these 4, Ryan, with number 1 here up first. Now, you can't control what happens in the market. We know that, but you can control how much risk you're exposed to in the market, right? Which is a big part of building an investment strategy.
Yeah, especially in retirement. I mean, you want mentioned on this show before. You definitely want more consistent rate of returns versus average rate of return. Consistency is way better than average rate of return. Average rate of return may have a higher 10-year track record, but it could be way more volatile. As you're putting money in, that's an okay thing. It's okay because you're gonna hit the highs and lows as you're putting money into your 401k or whatever retirement plan you're using. But then when you get to retirement and you're not putting in anymore and you're taking money out, so you're in decumulation mode or phase of life. So you want to be taking that money out where the returns are a little bit more consistent. So it allows that money to last longer when you're not taking money out every single month when the market's taking a 20 to 30 to 40% hit. And those moments do happen. And they can be really quick. We saw that at the beginning of this year. We saw that during COVID. We saw that a whole year in 2022. So 2022, if you didn't rebalance your portfolio in 20 and 21, which were good market rates of return, if you didn't rebalance yourself, 2022 hurt way more than it should have. Because if you didn't rebalance, you may have been taking on way more risk than you even thought, and then it pulls back in 22 and you're still having to take money out. That's where adjustments have to be made. So you need to stay abreast of what the market risk that you're taking on. And that's why consistently meeting with our clients in retirement, you do that, because as you do take money out, you have to sell certain things. Well, that may make it more conservative or that may make it more aggressive depending on what you sell. So you need to keep up with that. Well, we keep up with that. But if you're not using an advisor, you need to keep up with that over time, and it can make a huge impact.
Yeah, it sure can. So control that risk and how much you're exposing yourself to that in the market. Now, the next thing you can't control, Ryan, is how long you're going to live, right? I mean, for the most part, you can obviously eat well, you can exercise, you can take care of your body, but you still can't control longevity. But you can control how much emphasis you are putting on creating those lifetime streams of income, which I think are so important in retirement, right? To make sure you have that money no matter how long you live.
Yeah, I mean, again, said it before, it's about income when you get to retirement. What is that paycheck coming in every single month? And I say paycheck, it's the paycheck either coming from Social Security, your pension, or your portfolio. So what kind of streams of income do you have coming in that are pretty much guaranteed? I know, again, Social Security, which we'll talk about in a minute, is guaranteed as we sit today. I do think it'll be there for a long period of time, but there may be some modifications to it, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there. So what do you have coming in? And I know annuities get kind of a negative connotation in our world, but Your pension is an annuity. Your Social Security is an annuity. It's just not called that. It's the same thing. The concept is still the same. So if people don't want market risk and they just want to say, you know what, with my Social Security, I got about a $2,000 gap in my income. How much money, what kind of lump sum do I need to put into an annuity that's going to guarantee a payout for the rest of my life and my spouse's life? Well, that can be a fit. Okay, that can certainly be a fit. Comparing an annuity to rates of return to the stock market is not, it's apples and oranges. And so sometimes these guys that sell annuities only will be like, oh, you get no downside and then you get the upside of a. Just make sure you know what you're getting into. But if someone just needs an income, hey, I can take $400,000 and plop it into an annuity. I'm just making numbers up, and it pays me $2,500 for the rest of my life, me and my wife's life, and that's an okay thing. And then you still have extra money left over on top of that. That's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. That's a good position you want to be in if it does get to that point. So again, that's one of the things you can control. Third thing you can control, Ryan, again, taxes. We talked about that. We don't know what the tax rates are going to be. Things are changing every single year, every single administration. But you can control how much of your wealth you leave in places, leave in accounts that will be taxed in the future, right? I mean, this is such a big part of what you do, and this is something that everybody should be doing as they look ahead to retirement and make sure they're keeping as much of their money as they can, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's not only what you own, it's what account you own it in, because we've talked about in previous shows how different accounts are taxed differently based off the account structure. Obviously, our pre-tax accounts, our traditional IRAs, our rollover IRAs, that's going to come from our pre-tax 401ks, 403bs that we've never paid tax on. Well, there's a day of reckoning to that. You're going to have to pay tax sometime. You can't avoid that forever. You can push it and kick it down the road as much as possible, but that's why they have required minimum distributions at age 73 to 75, depending on when you were born. So you do have to take that money out eventually. It's just how much do you have to take out? How much is going to be taxed? What are the tax rates? What are Medicare premiums? Because Medicare premiums are all based off of your taxable income, not income, but taxable income. And your Social Security is means tested, at least as of the recording of this. I know there's some laws and bills being kicked around that Social Security is not going to be taxed in retirement. I'll believe that when I see it. It'd be great for retirees, but just not sure how the mechanics of that are going to work, because this is not the first time that this has been proposed. So we'll see on that. So more to come on that later, especially this year with the new administration and new tax laws sunsetting next year, or at the end of this year, excuse me. But yeah, then there's obviously Roth accounts, means you've already paid tax on it and grows tax free, and you take it out tax free as long as you meet the 5-year rule and you're older than 59 and a half. So you can take that out tax free as well. That's income to you, but not taxable income. So that will not affect your Social Security or Medicare. Then there's brokerage account money. And again, that could be a whole episode just on brokerage account money. That's a non-qualified or a non-IRA where you can put money into it. It's can be taxed each year. You can pay tax on interest. You can pay tax on some of the dividends, and then you pay tax on the growth as you sell the money inside the account. You pay a capital gains rate. Well, capital gains rate depends on what tax rate you are in. So sometimes if your taxable income, again, I said taxable, not your income, but your taxable income is low enough, your capital gains rate is zero as well. So I've had this discussion with many clients. It just blows their mind. Like, wait a minute, I've had this stock forever and it's grown so much. I'm not going to pay tax on that growth. Well, if you're in the 12% or lower taxable income bracket, no, the answer is no on that. So anyway, that's just how, it's not tax advice, obviously, but that's how we navigate the tax code to be able to make this money last as long as possible by keeping more in your pocket based off of what accounts you have.
Yeah, I know taxes are one of those big retirement threats for a lot of people too, Ryan, that aren't prepared for. And again, a quick reminder for anyone that is watching, you do have a new book too that ties in kind of perfect some of these things that you can't control, right? You can control the opportunity to diffuse some of these retirement threats that are out there by planning now.
Yeah, and there's steps, there's different chapters on different threats, and taxes are one of them. Inflation's another one. Healthcare, it's all the known threats out there, but how do you attack it? How do you go through it? There's references in there. There's storytelling in there of previous clients that I've had, how to step by step. So if you never meet with an advisor, hopefully that can at least kind of give you some a guide, if you will. Even though it's a book, it can be a guide that you can use in retirement.
Yeah, go to blackoakam.com to learn more and also request that copy as well. Just give Ryan your name and a place to send the book, and you can get a copy. But it is a great opportunity just to be learning more and positioning yourself better for the future. All right, one last thing you can control. Again, if Social Security is a big concern of yours, if you're worried about what's going to happen, is there going to be any money left for you to benefit from in retirement? Well, we don't know the answer to that, but the thing you can control is just how heavily your income plan relies on that money from Social Security.
Yeah, most people, it's a large majority of it, unfortunately. But I get it. There are some people that have a husband and wife. We were looking the other day, and like a husband and wife, Social Security income was like around $90,000 a year just in Social Security, because they worked all their lives. They both had pretty good incomes, and it was going to be around 90K. Well, that almost completed their full retirement needs. Now, they had a good nest egg too, because they made good money and they saved. So in that scenario, that was on the good side of Social Security being a large portion of their income, because they just didn't have huge amounts of debt or overhead costs that, hey, this 90K a year covers a large majority of it, and we still have a pretty large nest egg over here that we don't have to take out. Now, do they need to rely on 100% of the Social Security? No, but just in their case, it was fortunate. But then some people are on the other end of that. They may have a $2,000 a month benefit and they need $2,800 to survive on a monthly basis because they don't have much in retirement. That's an unfortunate end of those things, where it's very difficult to make ends meet in that scenario. So you want to plan like Social Security is not going to be a large majority of your income, but let that be on the first side of that story, where, hey, it's just there because you made good income and this is what your benefit is, but we have this pool of money that we can pull from if we need to as well. So we want to plan for that scenario, not the latter.
Well, those are 4 things you can control. And again, just want this episode to kind of serve as a reminder that while there are so many things that are out of your control in retirement, you're far from powerless, right? And again, that's where planning comes in, Ryan. These are just some of the things you're going to cover and why you need to work with someone that is aware of these threats and these concerns, and making sure you're controlling what you can, and honestly helps keep you accountable along the way.
Yeah, it does. And these are some of the things you can control. And like you mentioned before the book, again, go to retireperfect.com. Again, like Ben just said, we just need your name and address. So that way we can send it out to you. Do we offer that still the 15 to 20 minute phone call? Yeah, sure. That's a part of it, but you're in no way obligated to use us as an advisory firm. Is there some interest there? Sure. But we send a ton of these things out. So, request it. Hopefully it can help you in that regard.
Absolutely. Hopefully this video helped you as well. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. We got plenty more like them, more to come as well. A new one every single week. And we appreciate you being here. Again, thanks, Ryan, for your time. And thanks for tuning in here to Perfect Game Retirement. We'll talk to you again soon.